Greetings, my children. I am the Martian, veteran writer and gamer, knower of all things, and rogue PC builder, here today to bring you quality video content. And we are starting a new series today, bringing you a retro comic review. This is Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Many of you may know of this, many of you may not. This was originally written in 1978 as a novel by Alan Dean Foster. Very interesting man, wrote quite a bit of Star Wars. Actually ghost wrote the original Star Wars A New Hope, brought to him by George Lucas. He did not get a name credit on the novel, but did go on to write other things for George Lucas, including Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Now, what this was Lucas did not know if Star Wars was going to be a hit or not. He didn't know what kind of reception it was going to have. He didn't know how much money he was going to have to make a next film, and he was planning on a next film. Lucas has many times said that one time he said he was only going to do one film. Another time he said he had 3 planned. Then he said he had 6 planned, then 9. You choose what you want to believe. But anyhow, he was planning on a follow-up to A New Hope, but didn't know how much money he was going to have. So this was an attempt to do a film that wasn't going to need a lot of special effects. It was going to be a film that was going to be easy for him to make. It was going to be cheap. So as we go through this, now this is only part 1 of a 4-part series. If you guys like this, if you're interested in it, leave a comment down below and I will do more of these. I will get the rest of this series and we'll look at them. But as I said, as you will see when we go through this, you'll see there's not really a lot of special effects in here. So this movie, if it was going to become a movie, could be done fairly easily, fairly cheaply, and he could have gotten a sequel out. Other interesting facts in here, which will come up, and even Mr. Alan Dean Foster himself said he did not realize when they were going through. But as I said, this was now this comic is an adaptation of that novel written by Alan Dean Foster. This is part 1 of 4. It was by Dark Horse Comics, and this was originally published in 1995. So we start off here, 2 starships. We've got an X-Wing fighter and an A-Wing. Interesting that they chose an A-Wing, and we have Leia piloting the A-Wing, Luke piloting his X-Wing, of course. That could have been different if you have been lucky enough to watch the holiday edition of the Star Wars Holiday Edition. You'll see that Luke actually piloted an A-Wing fighter in that film. So would not have been unusual for him to pilot one here. Now, we don't get a lot of supposition of what's going on here. All we know is that Leia has an engine partially out, and they need to land. Now they're in the system they're in. I'm going to probably murder the name here, but it's Circapius, the Circapius system. Basically, they're at a rebel base. They need to get home. Something happens, and hilarity ensues. So she's crashing. They need to land quickly, and as you can see, they start barreling towards a planet. So you will start to notice in this, you'll start to notice some very familiar tropes. And if you look right here, what does that look like to you? That looks a lot like Luke crash landing on Dagobah. And I don't think that's a mistake at all. I think there was a lot that Lucas had planned that he wanted to do that ended up in both films. So the two, they crash in separate areas. Again, very similar tropes. We see Luke trying to, he's got the pilot uniform on, just like he did in Dagobah, getting through a swamp and finally finds Leia. Leia has 3PO with her in the A-Wing. As we know, A-Wings are two-seater starcrafts. X-Wing is only one, but does carry the astromech. So, convenient way for Leia to take 3PO with her. Here's Leia with her consummate holdout blaster, of course, based on the P-08 Luger. And so they land, they come through, and continue to travel, finally making it to a town. And we see that this is actually a mining town. And if you can see here, it looks a lot like a Western village, Old West Village. And again, no secret there. The original movie was set up to be something of a Western in space, as Lucas had said. So again, they land on this village, mining village, find Imperial troops there, and try to make it through. So they're looking for, at this point, they're looking to try to disguise themselves, and Luke ignites his lightsaber, and they dress up in mining clothes. I think it's very, very interesting, though, that even though they're dressed in mining clothes, he continues to wear his lightsaber, as if that's not going to be a hint to anyone that he is something other than what he is. Although, at this point in the story, they say that no one had seen a Jedi or knew what a Jedi was in many years. Of course, as we find out later, as the prequels came, there really wasn't that much time in between the prequels and Star Wars A New Hope. There was really only 18 years, 12 years, something like that. Probably 18 years, because Luke was probably about 18 or 19. So you're looking at a period of about 20 years between no Jedi and an entire Jedi Council. So, are people really not going to understand what a lightsaber is in just that amount of time? I don't know. But anyways, we come upon a kind of a cantina scene again, a big trope in Star Wars, so not that uncommon. Miners disrespecting some aliens, pretty common. Here we see some kind of interaction between Luke and Leia. He gives her kind of a pimp slap here. This is to clue in that they are not who they say they are. And this goes on now. Then they meet this woman. Her name is Hala, I believe her name is. And she kind of functions in kind of a dual role here. She's kind of something, in here they have her dressed almost like a female Obi-Wan. But even from her speech pattern in here, now I don't know if this was, I never read the actual novel, so I don't know if this was meant purposeful or not, but she speaks in kind of that backwards halting tone that Yoda does. So again, she may have been kind of an early form of Yoda. Here she shows Luke that she has some sort of Jedi force powers. What she's proposing to him is that she has something called a kyber crystal. And she wants to show him what it is and show him what it can do. Now here, they are spelling it Kaiburr. As you know, if you've watched Rogue One, and this was even in some of the expanded universe, they also talked of kyber crystals. However, in there, It is spelled differently. It's spelled Kyber. And the way they speak of it in here, there is only one of these crystals. And it is supposed to expand a Jedi's power. It's supposed to give him rejuvenation abilities and more mental abilities. Now you see here, Luke picks it up, and even he sees as soon as he touches it, he feels expanded powers that the crystal is giving him. So obviously, this is something that was planned by Lucas very early on. This Kyber crystal, whether he was going to make just one of them or many of them, that's obviously up to debate. But we see here now, this is the other interesting thing we see here. This is kind of a little playful moment between Luke and Leia. She kicks him into the mud, so he looks more like a miner, and then he trips her and does the same. Early on, they were supposed to play up this kind of banterish romantic thing between Luke and Leia. Alan Dean Foster mentioned that he had no idea that the two were going to be brother and sister, and he even played this up in his adaptation, that there might be kind of a love interest between them. So woe to him when he finds out they're actually brother and sister. I'm sure the guy felt a little creepy, making a love interest between them. Anyhow, these miners find him. There's a little dust up here. This one tries to get busy with Leia. Luke's not having that, and some more hilarity ensues here. But that's about when the first issue ends. And you see, there's this miner's kind of got a little Wolverine action going on here. But anyways, that's where this issue ends. So again, it's a great story. I wish this could be made into a movie. This takes place between episode 4 and episodes 5. So I believe if they changed it around a little bit, this could be made into a movie. I don't know how they would do that now. They'd have to get a replacement for Leia, and really Mark Hamill is too old to play a young Luke, so they would have to do some fancy CGI work. But it's not a bad story, because some of these tropes are reused in Empire and even Jedi. They may have to change around a few things, but I still think it's an interesting story. If you guys want to see more of this, again, comment down here. Let me know what you think of the video. And as I said, if you're looking for more of this content, go ahead. If you want to follow my videos and opinions, you can find me on Twitter at RedPlanetEXP. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell on this video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.